You just have to type at the worst times, don't you?
I do. I have to.
Yep.
I'm always typing moves.
That's how you gotta let the people know. That's gonna be the great intro. What's up, guys? I'm your host Moose here at CFB_Moose on Twitter from OccupyFantasy.com at OccupyFantasy on Twitter. We're here for the Week 17 edition of the Million Dollar Mission. For those who don't know, we're going to review Brian's 150 max lineup for the last week. Kind of talk about his thought process, see what he did right, see what he did wrong, see what some other players have done, and a little recap of 2019 if we have some time at the end of it. If you're here watching this replay on YouTube, I appreciate that. Really, really awesome, guys. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification so you get notified of when we upload new videos. If you're here on Twitch, make sure you go ahead and hit that follow button so you get notified of when we go live. If you're here live on Twitch right now, say what's up, say hello, and make sure to go ahead and shout you out. If you are here and you have questions, any questions about 150 maxing, about any stuff like that, definitely go ahead and ask. If you have questions about our year, how we did in DFS, different types of sports as well, go ahead and ask. We'll be here for about 30 minutes or so, maybe longer, depending on how lit the chat gets, and we'll just take it from there. So,
And if you have
yeah,
questions about the upcoming playoff games this weekend too, we'll have the DFS podcast out probably tomorrow morning, Thursday,
okay.
and we'll do our normal Saturday Twitch stream. Except it'll be a little pregame Twitch stream, so it should be, I imagine, more questions coming in since it's ready for the game start. So if you don't have any questions today, you can always join us for those two.
Yep. And for those who aren't in the Discord channel, our Discord channel is live. We just opened up a new channel for PGA, so people can talk about PGA, all that other kind of stuff like that. You get access to the Discord channel if you are a Prime subscriber to us or a VIP member. If you're a subscriber, you don't have access to it, hit us up, and we'll make sure you get it. All right, so
Perfect. Yeah,
just making sure my car wasn't
PGP.
getting towed.
Yeah, it's important to be the worst way to start the new year.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. What were you about to say?
Yeah, PGA, exciting. Yeah, just we haven't made an official announcement yet, but I think our PGA content, at least our model, will be ready by the Masters. So I know the PGA season is already started and in the middle of the season, but look for Occupy PGA content to be up in April. But in the meantime, like you said, we do have the Discord channel for our members to talk to each other.
Yep, absolutely. So let's just go ahead and take a look through it. I don't have the picture up here, but week 16, we didn't have the $1 million mission, but you did pretty well, didn't you? You finished another top 10 finish.
Yeah, I finished seventh in the FanDuel Millie. Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't do a stream that week because of Christmas, right? Yeah, we couldn't do a stream
Yeah.
that week because of Christmas, and couldn't brag about that finish, but does help the bottom line ROI for the season. So
Yep. And as Hova says, we'll be doing NFL all the way up to the Super Bowl. Yes, we will be providing content all the way through the Super Bowl.
yeah, so we won't have this Tuesday or like midweek stream anymore for NFL. We'll still have the Saturday Twitch streams. We'll still have the DFS podcast. We'll do some YouTube content as well, and then of course on OccupyFantasy.com for members, we'll have the daily plug all the way through the Super Bowl, how to attack each slate, and the Occupy model will be running through the Super Bowl for NFL, and we'll see if the XFL has some DFS playability after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't see why they wouldn't have it. That was the downfall of the AAF,
Yeah.
not providing any type of outlet for people to really gamble on. So if the XFL, I think, does that, um, that would be perfect. Yeah, I see guys, a couple people here in the chat saying Happy New Year to everybody. Hova, see me three mom, what's up, guys and girls, if you are that. All right, so let's look at week 17 now. Week 17 wasn't as good as week 16. If you look at your weekly thing for FanDuel, you did 13, 15 entries, 344 in winnings for minus 75% ROI.
Yeah, so not that surprising. And I think my week 17s are always like this, and I probably should just sit out week 17 from now on. But I did, aside from this contest, this is pretty much the only contest I played. I played it pretty light because I knew week 17 was pretty nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And very similar results on DraftKings, if not worse.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Yeah, 2180 on DraftKings, 488 winnings for minus 78% ROI, and that's even with the satellite tickets.
Yeah. So again, it looks terrible, and it's in a vacuum it is. But as we've talked about, pretty much every $1 million mission week, it's when you have a high risk approach like I do, you're going to have a lot of down weeks, those big weeks, those spike weeks that prop you up. So mentally, you have to be prepared for that if this is something you want to do, 150 max or play high risk contest.
Yep. And just for transparency, what your 2019 DraftKings Millie Maker was 44.5 in entries, 25.6 in winnings for minus 43% ROI. But if we pop over to FanDuel, where we've had what, 3 top 10 finishes, or is it 2?
Just two if you don't include the live final, which I didn't. I did not include the live final info in this one.
Yep. All right, so excluding the live final, 25.6 in entries, 125.7K in winnings for a little under 400% ROI, which is pretty solid.
Pretty decent. Yeah, if you added the live final, which is not really the $1 million mission, it would have been like 36K in entries and 375K in winnings. So
wow. And so if we combine them both, hashtag quick maths, 70.1K in entries, 151.3K in winnings for 116% ROI just from maxing the milli makers.
Yep, just maxing the milli maker. This doesn't include any other contest. Does not include Showdown. No other sites. Just FanDuel and DraftKings. And yeah, I'll take 116% ROI all day. The goal this season was to win the million again. Kind of came close once or twice, but believe me, if this is falling short, I'll definitely take it.
But you know the biggest number of it all at the very bottom, that 618 satellite tickets. That right there is boosting your ROI up so huge. Because it would be probably under 100% if you didn't play satellites.
Yeah, you figure, and it's not for free, but basically 4 full weeks discounted.
Yeah,
150 tickets. So yeah, four full slates discounted. Obviously adds to the bottom line as well.
Yeah, that's always awesome. So let's take a look at some of your player pools from last week here. If we get this out of here, what we have on screen is the Fantasy Lab contest dashboard for week 17 for the Millie Maker on DraftKings. This is your player pool. You had 65 players. I've sorted by your leverage. There's also the top leverage plays scrolling at the top. And if you have any questions about what leverage plays are, why he picked his players, definitely go ahead and ask us in the chat. Always here to answer your questions for that. Or if you just want to say hi, you can do that as well. But looking at some of your top leverage players, you have TJ Yeldon, Tennessee's defense, a lot of people from Cincinnati and Cleveland, and that was one of the games you stacked, right?
It was, and so I just did one side of that game.
Okay.
Because I liked multiple guys from Cincinnati, and I really only liked 2 guys from Cleveland, Jarvis and Odell, both who were on our underperforming receivers list. And I really just wanted to rotate those guys into Cincinnati guys. Unfortunately, only one Cincinnati player went off, and that was Joe Mixon. So that kind of tanked that stack.
Yeah.
The other guy I think we should talk about is TJ Yeldon. And this was a week 17 specialty. Very rarely will we get this during the first 16 weeks of the season. In fact, there was like a preseason special where we found out that morning that Devin Singletary was going to rest and that TJ Yeldon was likely going to get most of the work. It didn't end up being that way because for some reason in a game they didn't care about, they ran Frank Gore at the entire first half despite being 40 years old. So I thought TJ Yeldon at minimum price at likely lower ownership than he should have been because the news came so late. It was a great GPP play. Didn't pan out. So.
Yep. And Hova has a question. Doesn't really understand what the leverage aspect of DFS is. Yeah. So, do you want to answer that, Brian?
Yeah, I can certainly answer this. And if you have a follow-up question or more in-depth question, Hova, definitely let me know, and I'll go into detail about whatever you need. But essentially, the concept is, I think, or whoever's making lineups thinks that. So it's a term used when you're making multiple lineups. It's definitely used when you're making 20 to 150 lineups. And basically, it's how much exposure you have of a guy in your lineups versus how much the entire field does. So, for instance, TJ Yeldon, I had him in roughly 41% of my 150 lineups on DraftKings this past weekend. Whereas he was only 3% owned in the entire contest. So if he went off, my lineups benefit tremendously because I have so much more of him than the field does.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes the opposite too if I have less than what the field does. So if you have a further in-depth question about that, a follow-up question, we'll definitely get into it.
Yep. And another thing, See Me Mom shows up here, says that they learned the higher price single games was the way to go for them for NFL. Yeah, always good about finding out what you're good at and sticking to it.
Definitely, yeah. And if you don't make multiple lineups, you should 100% be playing single entry.
Yeah.
We obviously prefer the 100-player contest on FanDuel, the 118-player contest on DraftKings. Much better ROI for your entry fee. But if you do want to play GPPs, yes, single entries are the way to go. And the smaller the field, the less of the lower score you need to cash and win. So you look at the Million Maker, the winning score and the cash score is going to be a lot higher than if it was a smaller field GPP. So.
Yep, absolutely makes sense. Yep. Yeah. So the other things I know you're talking about the games you stacked. You did 3x1s with Cincinnati, Cleveland. Were there any other games you stacked, or did you kind of go? I know you went a little bit different this week because of the different resting and other situations, right?
Yeah, I didn't do any 3x2s on DraftKings because of resting and because there were so many underperforming receivers that didn't match up in the same game. So I couldn't really get exposure to them if I 3x2 stack like I normally do on DraftKings.
Yeah.
So I went to 3x1 to get more exposure to some of those guys. Unfortunately, some of my highest exposure was John Ross, who was expected to score 16 fantasy points based on opportunity, scored about 5. James Washington didn't catch a target, pulled a Robert Foster on us.
Which is not good.
Yeah, I know. Lots of my highest exposed guys didn't do well, so no surprise that it was a poor week.
Yep. A couple questions here. Tick Tick Boom, what's up, man? Glad to have you on board here. He goes, after a season of showdowns, do you have a number one theory or rule to use with them?
There are a lot of rules, and I suggest a podcast was just released today that I did with Davis Maddock. I retweeted it from my timeline. It talks about a lot of showdown strategy there. I think probably for next year before the season starts, maybe we'll do a 4 members only showdown strategy podcast. Here's an hour's worth of all the tips and tricks that we've learned over the last 2 years. I think that would be really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But number one rule, I think, is if you're playing GPP, satellites, high-risk contests, and showdowns, just don't use your entire salary cap. That's the number one rule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of my rules is if I have a position player at captain, I'm not spending more than $1,000. I'm leaving at least $1,000 on the table. If it's a quarterback, I'm leaving at least $2,000. If it's a more popular quarterback, sometimes $3,000 on the table.
And on FanDuel even more. Like I know Jack, the creator of DFS Magic, has had success leaving $4,000 or $5,000 left over in single games. So yeah, salary is the biggest key.
Yep, absolutely. And Hova does have a follow-up question. He's a start back with the leverage. Are you leveraging Yeldon as just a running back for all running backs or just in the Buffalo offense?
Yeah, so some people use the word leverage as, I don't know, let's just say Odell Beckham's really popular. If you use leverage, you can leverage against him by playing Jarvis Landry or Nick Chubb from the same offense. I meant Yeldon against leverage the field, other running backs, not necessarily anyone in that Buffalo offense, because no one in that Buffalo offense was very popular on the Sunday slate.
Yep. And wow, nice success story here. See Me 3 Mom says, I used the stacks from Occupy to win $1,000 in the fan championship game. That's awesome, man. Love to see that kind of stuff.
That's great. I mean, that's a heck of a return. I don't know if you got in with a satellite or if you directly bought in, but either way, that's 4 times the entry fee is incredible.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well done.
Let's see here. So, we took a look some of the underperforming wide receivers as well. For those who don't know, basically people who have had opportunity but haven't converted for wide receivers. If you want us to go more in detail about that, we can. But I'd like to also look at some of your under-leveraged plays, the field reverse exposure. So someone like Aaron Jones, you were 23% under the field. Dallas Goedert 14, Devontae Adams 13. So that Green Bay game was pretty popular, right?
Yeah, especially the Green Bay side. I mean, I like Adams, I like Jones, but I like some other guys better in different spots. And then Goddard, I mean, even at 28% exposure, was still under the field. I thought he'd be popular. I didn't think he'd end up being 43% popular. So it's always disappointing when you're a little far off projected ownership, especially on a freaking 15 game slate to see him that high.
Yeah, that's insane. I guess just because of his price, and everyone else in the entire team was injured.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Great question from Tick Tick Boom. Says, who is the number one player who hurt you the most throughout the season, and who's the number one player who helped you the most?
That is a great question. So number one player who helped me the most, both in my 250K winning lineup and my 150K winning lineup, I had both Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett. So props to those guys. I'll say they helped me most throughout this regular season. As far as who hurt me the most, shit, probably Odell, I would imagine.
I was going to say Kyler Murray, probably.
Yeah, early in the season for sure. Kyler Murray fits Christian Kirk, that Arizona offense. Definitely the first 8 weeks of the season. Yeah, that's probably a good answer too. Most of this.
Yep. Hova says, this will be my first year playing NFL DFS to the Super Bowl. Pretty stoked to do it so with Occupy Fantasy in my corner. Yeah, it's awesome, man. We do a lot of stuff for the playoffs, really go in depth. I mean, you pretty much, for the daily plug, wrote up how to win a GPP for the Super Bowl, and you actually went out and did it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited because I think Chris is going to write the next 3 weeks, and I'll write the Super Bowl. I think we'll see. We haven't talked about it, but I think that's how it's going to work. But it's a different beast in the playoffs because we get a full day in between games.
Yeah.
And if you're playing the 4-game slate, you have your normal 4 to 5 hours Sunday morning to take a look and swap where you need to. Last year, this week last year, Jack, the creator of DFS Magic, he won $50,000 using Occupy's tools and the early version of DFS Magic in the DraftKings GPP. And that Sunday morning, we talked about all different swaps, had a conversation, and he swapped to Trubisky and Robinson because he thought it gave him more upside in the GPP, and they went out and won him the 50K. So.
Yeah, that was awesome. And it was close. I remember watching it, and I didn't really know Jack too much then. I kind of knew of him, knew what he was about and stuff. And then out of nowhere, Trubisky makes a pass like towards the end of the game. It's like, yeah, I just won 50,000 off that. And I was like, oh, all right, I dig it, bro. Another question from See Me says, how do you approach the playoff games? Do you still stack, or do you run the quarterback naked and pick value plays?
Yeah, good question. And actually, I picked Jack's brain a little bit because he's had so much success in these shorter slates and has improved my short slate game strategy as well. And the best move is to start with a 2x1 stack. So start with a quarterback, one of his running backs or pass catchers, put in another player from the opposite team. So 3 guys from the same game. And that's the minimum. It's not the maximum. You can certainly go more. But I would start with that stack, assuming you're playing high-risk content, and then fill in around there.
Yep. And Hova makes a good point. He says, just a suggestion, maybe one of us can do a write-up on lineup construction.
Yeah, we definitely can. We have that for MLB and NHL. We'll probably write a more in-depth one for NFL for the 2020 season. We've gotten that a couple times, so yeah, be on the lookout for that. That's something we need to do.
Definitely, yep. All right, so let's take a look at again, great question, guys. Fantastic questions. Love these type of questions. Keep asking them, and we'll stay here as long as we can. If answers keep being asked. Looks like
we have the Millie winner moose. See what they did.
Yeah, let's take a look in the leaderboard here.
By the way, Moose, are you looking at the camera? Do you have this stress ball that you and I got for Christmas?
Dude, I am loving it right here.
It's pretty nice.
I know, it is fantastic. Until there's like one part that's really hard, and I'll put my finger on it and just break my finger.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we look here. Person who won the Millie, John Finley, had 2 entries.
Wow.
Good for him, man.
This is not surprising to me, by the way, that this is a week where we don't see many 150 maxers, because it was going to be such random lineups that won the Millie because of week 17 chaos, that I'm not surprised at all that this was not a 150 heavy week.
Yep. So looking here, if I can find it. So Damian Williams was, according to this, 19% owned, but the top 100 lineups had him in 91%.
Damn.
I haven't seen that much high before in a while. That much leverage. I should say.
Right, that's crazy.
Yeah. And if we look,
And honestly, that's the kind of stuff that you should be looking at. It's like, what did the field do versus what the winners did?
Yep.
It's a big difference. Jack and I, and you and I, and all of our staff have been talking about, if you do playoff contests, doing that type of research as opposed to here are the players, how they rank for the playoffs. Look at previous playoff contests and what winners did versus the field did. And you can gain a lot more information from that.
Yes, absolutely. I know we were talking about like the playoff league, pick one player from each team, something like that. And but yeah, we've been doing some back testing on that, what works, what doesn't work, what winners have been doing. So that's always going to be fun. I can't wait for that. WFFC, I think that's the abbreviation for it now.
FFPC.
FFPC, same thing. There's so many abbreviations. You qualify for you go into so much shit that I lose track of the abbreviations after a while.
Keep track of them.
Yep. So just looking in this top 100, I only see a handful of 150 maxers. 150 RBX 88 got second. Shout out to him. Do you want to take a look at you want to look at his exposures?
Who? Yeah, RBX. Yeah, let's take a look and see what he did. He or she did.
So they actually went Kyler Murray at quarterback, which is interesting.
He finally won someone some money. Good for him.
Yeah. So he had a player pool of 77 players.
Higher than normal, but it was also a 15 slate, so I kind of understand that.
Mm-hmm. And taking a look at some of his highest leverage plays, Daniel Jones, Case Keenum, Raquel Armstead, who I thought would be a lot higher owned. Kelvin Harmon.
I was surprised too about Armstead, and that was a big decision point for me as well. I ended up going 0% Armstead, and that was another reason I didn't cash very much on either side.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Simi says defense wins championships. Will you focus more on that with the write-ups?
No, not particularly. No.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, because the model basically just points that out, which teams are in good spots and stuff.
Yeah, and the model knows it's the playoffs too, and like because it has 17 weeks of data now, it's even more accurate. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as Lucas points out, we need a dashboard like this for FanDuel. I wish, if FanDuel allowed contest exports, then we could absolutely do something like this.
But I know. Until then, you're doing some slick work to get some FanDuel data, especially for single games. So
yes.
But just for transparency's sake, we do need FanDuel to come out with contest CSVs.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yep. So, pairing up 2 Washington plays as some of his highest leverage plays. That's the type of leverage we like, where you have a stack that goes off. You're going to shoot up the leaderboard way higher than if you were matching the field or under leverage them.
Right. I think, did he get lucky? Because I feel like none of these leverage plays were in his win.
I don't want to say he got lucky, but
not lucky, but like, I mean, you can still get lucky. Like the guys he liked the most didn't end up in his top lineup. So.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see too many highly owned of his players in that top lineup.
Nice. I mean, but again, you still have exposure to some guys just because they're not 50% leverage doesn't mean you don't like them. So Either way, good for him.
Yep. And Joe Armstrong, who I haven't seen around here before, thank you for joining us. He says, which quarterback rates high this weekend?
No surprise, one of my favorites. Russell Wilson tops our model this week. We still don't have 100% of the inputs in, but I doubt it'll change too much. Big reason, Moose, and we can talk about this just for a second.
Yeah.
A lot of big total moves so far for Wild Card Weekend. Buffalo and Houston, the total opened 41.5. It's up to 43.5.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee and New England opened 42. It's up to 44. Minnesota and the Saints opened 46.5, all the way up to 49.5. And then Seattle, it opened 46. This is down to 45, but the spread moved in Seattle's favor. So, interesting week of games.
Yes, very, very interesting here. Let's see. Just pulling some other things up here. Yep. That's a great question on that. The other thing we like to look at here on the $1 Million Mission is the list of duplicate lineups, which is always fun to look at. And if I go ahead and if I can pull that up here.
I don't see how there could possibly be that many duplicates this week. But again, I'm always shocked at this segment of the show.
Let's see. pull it up. And the top duplicate lineup had. Come on.
Internet.
I know, right? Shit. All right. 298 users. Put this in 302 times. Had Raquel Armstead in the flex, Dallas Goddard. So that also bumped his ownership up a little bit. That actually was a great optimizer lineup. Had a 3 Philly players.
Yeah. It didn't pan out too well, but that's a great optimized lineup.
Yeah. Second one had 198 users. Put it in 200 times. Basically the same thing. A couple players
Yes.
swapped. Now, what's go ahead.
I was gonna say, fortunately, it was not a double tight end duplicated lineup.
I know I didn't really see any here, but what interested me is this one here. I don't know if you guys can see it on the stream, but only 3 users put this lineup in 152 times.
I guess one guy did it 150 times.
Yeah, I guess so, and then the other 2 people just did it. Just took.
I'd be so pissed if I won the millie.
And you tied with someone who died.
Who did 150 lineups.
Yeah.
What?
That would suck.
Yeah. Damn.
Absolutely. Hova says, "What's the Discord?" Go ahead and we'll message you the invite here on Twitch. I'll go ahead.
Yeah,
and get that
we're honestly having some issues with Discord. We need to work with them to get this figured out because a lot of members are not able to access it. So send us a message and we'll get you the link.
Yep, absolutely. Cool beans. The other one is the position usage chart here on the Fantasy Labs Contest dashboard. It shows you what percent of entries use a person in the flex. Brian's face is covering most of it, but that's why I have words.
Yeah, I figured running back would be the highest this week.
Yep. So 51% running back, 31% wide receiver, and goddamn 18% tight end, which is just absolutely insane.
That's higher than normal. I guess this is flatter than normal, but I know wide receivers are just way less than normal, right?
Yeah. Tight end is a little bit higher up. Usually it's like, what, 10 or so?
Yeah. I guess receiver and running back are closer together generally.
Yeah. Now, and Hova, he says, do I have to subscribe? No, you're a Twitch Prime subscriber already, and so you get access to the Discord by being a Prime subscriber.
Yeah, as long as you subscribe to us on Twitch, whether it's through Twitch Prime or you pay the monthly fee, you get access to the Discord. So.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Cool beans. So, any last things we want to go over before we kind of get up out of here?
I think that's it. Just if you have questions now about Wildcard Weekend, shoot us some questions here. You can always tweet at us at Occupy Fantasy or send us an email. But the DFS podcast will be out either late tonight or early tomorrow morning. I think Jack, playoff success DFS Magic creator Jackson, joined Waleed and I for this.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. You and I will be here on Twitch on Saturday. Plug will be out Friday at some point. And the model should be out later today.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Hova, you don't. Just to repeat it for you, your stream lagged. No, you don't have to. You have to subscribe to be a part of the Discord channel, but you already are. But you're already a Twitch Prime subscriber, so you're good on that.
Yeah.
Yep. Joe Armstrong says, "Are you guys laying Lynch?"
I hope he means playing Lynch, and no chance. I mean, he's washed up. He looked like it. I hope Seattle is smart enough and is going to play Travis Homer more. He played a ton, but like he should get almost every snap and carry compared to Lynch. So
yeah. Do you know what the snap count was for them?
It was like 75 to 25 for Homer.
Good God. Yeah.
It should have been 95-5. Like Lynch, I mean, it was bad. And of course he scored for showdown. Of course, fucking Lynch scored a touchdown. So it was the worst thing ever.
Yep. Just looking here at the snap counts. Yeah, Lynch played 31% of the snaps. That's crazy.
Ugh, the worst. I mean, we'll see. Pete Carroll's dumb, and they may run him out there for the majority of the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know. They worked out a couple free agent running backs too, so maybe they're not as thrilled with Lynch's return as what may have seemed initially. So we'll see. I won't be playing him though.
Makes sense to me. Yep. So, all right, cool. If that's being said, we'll stay here for another minute. You guys want to rapid fire questions? Otherwise, we'll be getting out of here. Hope, I'm going to go ahead and message you once we get off the Discord link. Anyone else who is a subscriber here and you don't have access to the Discord link, go ahead and hit us up. We'll make sure you get access to that invite.
Yes, definitely, for sure.
All right, cool beans. So, all right, I'll ask you this question, Brian. What was your highlight of 2019?
I mean, it's got to be the Millie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Millie, if you're talking about just the NFL season, it's got to be Puerto Rico. Like we had some highlights. 2019 was pretty legit.
Yeah, dude. It was pretty awesome.
What about you? What was your 2019 highlight?
Let's see. If I had to guess, or if I had to say, what was my highlight in 2019? Probably Puerto Rico.
It was pretty sick.
It was pretty awesome. So,
Moose Lucas is asking who's going to win the Super Bowl. I think it's Ravens. What do you think?
Yeah, Ravens.
Over 49ers or someone else?
Probably, yeah. Yeah. I will say what was so bad is, so I went through, I went to all the New Jersey books online and stuff and try to compare all the different odds of the different sports books on who's going to win the Super Bowl. And generally speaking, every book had their own line that was the best across each one. But there was one sports book that had like an extra like 7% hold on everything and just had the worst lines across for every single team. And then one of the more popular books there, and I'm just like, good God.
People still gonna bet it.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. K Banks says Chiefs are going to get it, Super Bowl, which could be a possibility.
I wouldn't mind that. I'd be thrilled if the Chiefs won a Super Bowl.
My only thing is that's going to suck is it's going to be a Ravens 49ers Super Bowl. Goddamn, Lamar Jackson's going to be 99% owned. And
that's actually my biggest like.
And it's gonna be a 450 person way tie for first.
Oh man, it's gonna be bad. It's like faded Lamar Jackson captain so many times this year, and you seen that goofy meme Moose where it's like I'll fucking do it again.
Yeah,
I'll do it again in the Super Bowl. I'll fade Lamar Jackson again and then probably lose. So that's an interesting dilemma for playoff leagues as well. We'll talk about that in our podcast too.
Absolutely. Don't forget, guys. There's still the big game satellites up on FanDuel. Go ahead and check them out. There's still a ton of overlay on them. I've racked up a couple, so keep going at it.
DraftKings are either out or should be out soon, especially for this weekend slate. So definitely start racking up those tickets.
Absolutely, yep. All right, so with that being said, I appreciate the questions, guys. Love it, love it, love it. I'm your host, Moose, at CFB_Moose on Twitter from Occupy Fantasy. I brought on Brian Jester FF on Twitter to talk about his 150 lineup building for the entire 2019 NFL season, where he won 116% ROI. It's been awesome, guys. Sure. Thank you for everything, and we'll be back at it on Saturday.
Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for listening. It's been a great season. More to come in 2020.
Deuces.